I think it would solve a lot more problems
For who?
for themselves.
For
Because
women?
I think a lot of the times women create their own stories in their head just to validate their feelings of why they're right and the other person's wrong.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to yet another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure. Why are you so happy?
Because I'm back. I'm back,
Yes,
bitches.
she's back. This is another one of those his and hers episodes with your host, Alex Payne, and my wonderful fiance. And today, we're going to talk about the uncomfortable stuff. Because my little genius right here decided to bring in some heavy artillery, some nasty questions.
Throwing out random questions
Just
today.
kidding. Not the nasty questions, but fairly complicated questions. So, welcome to another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure with your host, Alex Payne and
Coley.
Coley. And let's give them what we're going to talk about today.
All right,
Let's
so we're going to choose
bring
just
in the
some
heavy
random
artillery, babe.
questions. Topic is reconciliation after breakups. The complexities of getting back together after a breakup, including trust, rebuilding, and whether it's truly possible to start fresh. What's your take on that?
It's not.
It's not what?
It's not possible to start fresh.
It's not? Okay,
How can you, in order for you to start fresh, you have to have this little device. Okay, I forget the name of it, but men in black carry it, and then they put glasses on, and then they go like this, and they say, "Look at the light," and they flash, and they erase everything in your head. That's when you start fresh.
So you can't reconcile after a breakup.
That's not what I said.
Okay, well, the
The
question is...
last question was, is it possible to start fresh? No.
Okay.
Can you reconcile after a breakup? It's possible. I mean, people divorce and remarry and divorce and remarry, and
But is that healthy?
I don't know. I can only speak for myself, and every time I try to reconciliate, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of my breakups never worked. Never worked.
Why is that? For you, in your opinion.
Because it's the same. You're dealing with the same things over and over again. I think if you want to reconcile your relationship, you as a person have to change, and the person you're dating or want to get back with have to change.
They have
Like
to be
you,
willing to change, right?
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Either willing to change or change in the process, but that's the only way it will work.
Mm-hmm.
If it's only one person that's gonna change, it's not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna work. That's as close you can come to starting fresh, and even that's not starting fresh. That's just two people are willing to, buckle down and really work on themselves
Mm-hmm.
and on a relationship.
Okay. I reconciled twice,
Mm-hmm.
and the third time was like, no, like I can't. And then this last time, fuck no.
Yeah, I try to reconcile, yeah, a handful of times. But for me, it was more of getting a closure. Because, okay, you do it the first time. I'm assuming I'm talking about the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets bumpy and whatever, you break up and you do it again. It's like, okay, now I really tried. Let's say you didn't do 100% the first time. You go at it again, you give 100% and it doesn't work out. Then it's like, nah, it's not for me. So for me, if anything, it did give me closures. So I sleep really well at night knowing that I've given my 100% at the time to every single one of my relationships. And by doing so, I became a better person because I always worked on myself. And after every single breakup, I became a better person, better version of myself. This is why, this is why I am where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Know what I'm saying?
So after the
Know what I'm saying?
second, well, the third time, okay, it was 3 times. I can't reconcile a relationship that went bad. And the reason why is because as I gotten older and much more mature, I realized if
Did
you're...
you?
I don't know, did I? There's a ring on my finger for a reason.
Ah, damn, touche.
So, touche.
Touche. Okay.
If I don't do things with intentions, it's going to be half-ass.
Mm-hmm.
So I've understood intentions, and that's why I now make sure that everything I do is with intentions. So if I intentionally go into something, I shouldn't have to reconcile anything. Right?
Can you intentionally not say so many times?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
It's a work in progress.
Let's
I'm
focus
working on
that.
it.
Hopefully me calling you out on live TV. Just kidding, it's not live. But on a recorded line.
Yes.
Good.
I'm working on it.
Thank you, baby.
Yes, you're
I'm glad
welcome.
you're open to criticism.
Of course.
That's what I was talking about earlier when I was recording a solo episode.
You're talking to yourself?
I was. Hey, man, sometimes you gotta put out the material, dude.
All
Ain't
right,
nobody
let's not
here to talk.
digress. So it's a no for me. It's a hard pass.
Okay.
I've done it before. I've learned how to become better. And if I want to become a better individual, you don't go back.
Under
Move
what
forward.
circumstances do you believe it will work? Like, is there an exception? Well, I told you the only circumstance that I can possibly see getting back together may work. What do you think?
At this point in my life, right now, no.
Okay. How about,
Give me a
and
scenario.
and obviously we're not there but I have met good, serious women before who I've spoken with, and I know at least one or two of them said, okay, let's say you're 20 years into a relationship, you've been married, you have kids, you build an empire, and the husband cheats. Like this particular woman said, I would be willing to not necessarily close my eyes to it, but work through it. Because there's a difference between women who just close their eyes on, whatever he can do whatever he wants to do because I'm taken care of, or he can do whatever he wants to do. That's our relationship or whatever. But willing to forgive and work through it, because at that point it just becomes divorce or separation is just not worth it.
No.
No, what?
Why did he cheat? He
Well, you
can't
asked
use
for
his
an
words.
example. You said give me examples. So I give
Right.
an example.
It's still a no for me.
Okay.
Because that just means he's not able to communicate. If you can't communicate, why am I with you? You're a grown-ass man. You don't know how to use your words or speak on why you need to go elsewhere, then you're just hindering yourself and our bond together.
Okay, you're talking from your perspective. Let's
Right.
just say general outlook on things. Not every woman is the same, does thinks the same way you do. Like, it's not you going critical into this, like communication. No, I'm talking about general. It's a scenario.
Okay.
Like, do you believe that can work out? Clearly, it did for her, because she was willing to say, yeah, if I'm in this for like 20, 25 years and we have kids and we build an empire together, we'll get through it. We'll work on it.
Would I be
I mean, let's not forget a lot of women out there who have done it. Kobe Bryant's wife, Kevin's Hart wife. The list is endless. But obviously, on their side, you have money involved. And God knows what. I mean, who are we to judge? Who are we to judge?
Right.
I don't know.
So you're telling me that if somehow, some way, down the line, we're 20 years into our marriage, and you decide you want to cheat.
That's not what I'm saying. Don't flip the scenario back at me, fool.
I can't agree. I that's why I'm probably not understanding.
Okay. No, it's fine.
Well, that's what
you
I'm
said give
saying.
an example, so I did.
Yeah. So again,
Okay.
it's still a no for me.
Okay.
Because your partner needs to be your friend.
Yeah.
Why would you want to keep that from your friend? Why would you want to do something like that disrespectful to somebody that you love and appreciate if you're intentional with that person? Why would you want to hurt them?
Yeah.
That's why I can agree with it's okay. That just means there's some underlying issues that's going on with me. Say I did that to you. That means I'm not communicating myself and my feelings to you. I'm holding it in, and I'm using an excuse to go and do something to validate my feelings and want to excuse myself later.
Okay. Well, that's similar to an example that we discussed yesterday with a friend of yours. But then it's clearly the man that did it was pretty emotionally immature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay. That was an example.
Right.
That was an example.
Right. Are you gonna grab a question?
No, I got
Oh,
questions
so
right here.
Oh, okay. So then
Okay.
next
So
question.
what's the-
Let's go. I got him.
okay.
What's your question?
My question is this: why is it that more oftentimes than not, women are so quick to exit a relationship, a marriage, versus
Instant
men?
gratification from others.
Okay. Let's dissect that. Instant
Okay.
gratification. What instant gratification from others
Social
that
media.
pushes women to divorce
They
their husbands
see.
and exit marriages?
Well, I'm not in that situation. I'm trying to adapt
You're in those
to.
groups. You talk to these
Okay,
women. You
so
you
I
coach
am in
these
these
women.
groups, and
What the women that you coach tell you?
they think they deserve better. Okay, cool. But are you communicating to your partner about what it is that you deserve? Or are you quick to run because they're not working fast enough for you? It's called patience. You have to, it's a team, it's a team effort. I understand if your team member isn't working with you to get you to a state of compassion, harmony, and you want to just quickly go somewhere else, then maybe, yeah, you shouldn't be in that relationship.
So is it fair to say that women prioritize their personal happiness over their families?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That could be. Yeah.
Now that part I agree with you because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times men are willing to sacrifice their own happiness, their own personal happiness for the benefit of their family and their children.
Mm-hmm.
Women don't do that oftentimes.
Not all women,
Not
but
all women, no,
right.
not all women, but
There are
more
some
a
out there.
vast majority. I mean, clearly, look at the divorce statistics. It's mostly women who exit their relationships and divorce. And if somebody's gonna say, "Well, the common factor here can be men," let's look at lesbian couples. Their divorce rates are even higher. So when you have two narcissistic people in one relationship, man, that's a recipe for disaster. What is
Yeah.
it? I think year to date, or according to the most recent statistics, we're pushing almost 60% divorce rates in heterosexual couples. Yeah, it's more than 50. Yeah, one and two couples.
Why do
We're,
you,
we're
why?
pushing closer. We already passed the 50 percent barrier. But when you look at the lesbian couples, it's like 75. Three out of four. Three
Yeah.
out of four lesbian couples break up. And there's no men in lesbian couples. So the only possible explanation is that men is not the problem. Women are. Women are. Because if you really choose your own personal happiness
Mm-hmm.
over your own family and your children, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Seeking your own self-love first, it can pour into other parts of your life.
But at the same time, okay, let me be the devil's advocate right here. How can women find their happiness when if they're missing it while they're in a relationship and married with children?
Seek a therapist.
Okay.
I think grounding yourself. What does that mean? Going back to, I don't know, what makes you feel sexy? What makes you feel feminine? What can you do to seek that love within? Go take a class, go do, do something that brings you up. Instead of trying to fight and create an argument, okay, what makes you feel happy inside?
Do you think women would be a lot happier with themselves or in their lives if they were to go
Stop blaming
back to
themselves.
their huh?
Stop blaming themselves.
No. If they were to go back to their feminine.
I think it would solve a lot more problems
For who?
for themselves
For
because
women?
I think a lot of the times women create their own stories in their head just to validate their feelings of why they're right and the other person's wrong.
Well, don't they say that women replay when men replay certain things and events in their heads,
Mm-hmm.
we don't do it from emotional perspective.
Right.
We do it to relearn the lesson
Mm-hmm.
or to reevaluate the situation.
Mm-hmm.
When women do it, they become overwhelmed with the feelings,
Mm-hmm.
with how any particular situation or whatever somebody said to them made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
So they allow or sometimes purposely seek the same wave of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why they want to pick arguments again because oh my god, you said something like that and that really blah, 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 blah.
But that's a hurt person. That's a woman who's hurt.
I think across the border it will be a person who's hurt, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say because I don't really replay situations in my head just to get the feeling out of it. I'm more like okay, well, what can I learn?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause then
I had an ex who would be offended by something that I did, and he would retaliate because he was hurt.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was in his soft side or feminine because he was reacting on his emotions.
Yeah.
So he did something pretty shitty in a man's way, but it's because it was reflecting his emotions that he wanted to respond with.
Sounds like you dated a little bitch.
Yes, he was.
Mm.
Very much so.
Okay.
Next question.
That's your turn now.
All right, next question.
Don't take forever.
Relationship ultimatums. Whether it's ever healthy or fair to give a partner an ultimatum regarding major life decisions like marriage, children, or lifestyle changes. Is relationship ultimatums healthy or fair?
I think it's fair because you have to be able to establish certain boundaries with people in general. In general. Is it healthy? I don't think so. Because if you continually establish ultimatums, then you're causing the other person to walk on eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can have maybe one or a few ultimatums, like for you, like what you mentioned earlier, is a no no.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would have like one or two, but then if you go by life and okay, you can't do this or I'll divorce you, can't do that or I'll divorce you, can't do this, you either dating a retard or you yourself are so insecure and just don't know how to communicate with the person, establish boundaries.
Yeah.
Because everybody makes mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and the person that I am today is different from the person that I was 10 years ago, and the person that I will be 10 years from now is different from the person that I am today.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, you got the best version. I mean, every following ex, every following girlfriend that I had a better version of me than the ex before her. So you get the ultimate
Of
gift,
course, I deserve it.
God's gift to earth. Yeah, you're welcome. Jesus told me to tell you you're welcome. All right. What do you
Okay.
think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree having a healthy ultimatum. It's healthy. Like you didn't want to marry me unless I wanted to have kids.
Yeah, that was
Right.
it. That was it.
So I understand that having standards. My last, the guy that I was dating that was older than I was, he he didn't want to get married. And that was my ultimate. I want to get married. I want to have a family. So either you want to get married or you don't. You don't. I'm out. I'm not gonna judge you, but I'm out. And that was it for me. That was my ultimatum.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Mhm.
fair. Yeah, as long as you're able to communicate,
Mhm.
because the way you communicate and how effective you communicate with people around you and in your life will determine how happy and satisfied and how in peace you're going to be in your life. Because
Yep.
if you're the type of person who likes to omit stuff,
Mhm.
who likes to hold on to things internally, who would
Mhm.
rather avoid uncomfortable conversations than confront the person, especially the person you love,
Mhm.
then you're just going to live the rest of your life in quiet suffering and sacrifice your own personal happiness for somebody else.
Right.
It's in human nature to take advantage and to take more than to give.
Mhm.
And people may not necessarily be bad people. They might not necessarily be out there just to get stuff from you. It just they just accept things from you and become expecting it. That makes sense. They begin expecting things from you. And
Mhm.
if you're that type of person who cannot say no, put a stop to something, you're gonna be
You're gonna be used and abused.
you're gonna be milked like a cow. And they might
Mhm.
not even know that they're milking you. It's
Mhm.
just they got used to it.
Yeah. All right. Next question.
Me again?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I don't see
What
anybody else in
what
this
what
room.
what do you what do you think women with children need to do in order to attract a good man? Now, mind you, they already are behind the curveball because they have children, and not every man out there like me personally. For me, it's a no-no. My brother married a woman with a child, so he
Mhm.
decided to be a stepfather. And for me, it was like, nope. It was a big deciding factor. Sort of an ultimatum,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So women who end up single mothers,
Mhm.
how much more work or what do you think they need to do, or what sort of
Tips,
things, tips, or they need to
suggestions.
correct?
I
Because
think.
they need to make up for that sort of. And I'm not saying in a bad way, like, okay, your child
Right.
is an error. No, child's a child. It's not a child's fault. But you have to be willing to bring something to the table, especially when you have a child, if you're looking for a man.
I think having a blueprint of what it is that you want for yourself, first and foremost, before you bring in any other relationship. What can you do to learn from the previous relationship that you had? What did it teach you? What are the things that the last relationship taught you about yourself? What is it about that partnership that you know that you wanted something better or something more positive? So flip the negative outcomes that you got from that relationship and turn it so that it can allow you to understand that that person came into your life to teach you something, and now you're who you are. So having reflecting on, okay, as a woman, if I want to be a wife, if I want to attract a specific type of partner, who do I have to be? Can I be that for myself first and foremost? Am I loving? Am I submissive? Am I what are my responsibilities? My child, loving my child, respecting myself as a woman, respecting myself as a mother, as a partner, as a wife. What does that look like to you? Focus on that first. And when you start, it's just energy that's going to be gravitated towards you when you just focus on who and what you are, not looking for somebody else. You're not trying to create an avatar of somebody for somebody else. You're doing that for yourself.
Okay. I was thinking along the lines of something like hands-on type of things, type of. All right. What I'm trying to say is this:
Please do.
if you're a woman with a child or children,
Hmm.
and you're looking for a man
That's the
to
Go on.
what
Go on.
to take on that role and responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
not only be your man but also be the father for your children,
Mm-hmm.
you have to first of all bring enough to the table to make up not only for yourself but also for those children, because the man has to deal with not only you as a person and as a character but with every single child. And then on top of that, children, especially children's age, not grown adults, what do they have? Attitudes, right? They require raising, they require work, they require patience. And you as a woman have to understand that you're not only responsible for yourself now, you're responsible for another human being. And first and foremost, it falls upon you to teach your child or your children to respect that man, even though he's not their father.
Mm.
100% falls on you. If you, from the very beginning, don't teach your children to respect their stepfather or whoever you bring in into your life, into their life to take over their own responsibility, you failed.
Mm-hmm.
You automatically failed.
Mm-hmm. That's
'Cause-
why learning how to respect yourself is very, very important. If you don't know how to love yourself, you can't expect somebody else to love you and respect you. Your child needs to love and respect you first, but the child mirrors what the parent is doing.
yeah,
So if the mother is neglecting their child to go with on a date, on an app with somebody, or on an app with somebody, on a date with somebody, and they're just kind of like, oh, not, yeah, there's balance. Have your time with your child, but if the mother is angry because of the past relationship and she's taking it on the child, and then the child's like, oh, you're neglecting me because you're yelling at me because of what my dad did, and then you're going out on a date with somebody after my dad just, you had the complications with my father, whatever. There's a time that the mother needs to heal for herself so that she can be that divine mother for the child. But now she has to tap in and do both. She has to be feminine and masculine. That's what my mom did. So my mom was more of her masculine because she knew she needed to have that masculine role to raise two girls because nobody else was going to do it. And my mom's like, I have to make sure that you're afraid of me so that you don't go and do stuff wild. And she thought being afraid of her, I think, would prevent us from getting into trouble.
Did it?
No.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Wow.
No, it did. I was afraid of my mom.
Tell your
I
mom
was
that.
really afraid of my mom. Oh, man. I was more afraid of my mom than I was my dad.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I met your mom. Ooh, she
Straight
gave
up.
me that
Looked you
stare
up
down.
and
She
down.
like, mm-hmm.
And because my mom worked so hard at raising us on her own, it kind of made me upset with her for a while. But as I've gotten older and wiser, I've realized that my mom had to do that.
Yeah.
Because I am the woman that I am now is because of my mom. She always told me there's a time and place for everything. You don't need to rush to grow up. Just take your time. I'm like, no, I want to grow up. Now I understand.
It's a
Can't
good
be
example.
upset with her.
That is a good example. There's no,
But my mom was a prime example of a woman who she had problems with my dad. She left him, and that was, according to my sister, it was an abusive, or not abusive, but a toxic relationship because they were young and they didn't have their parents around. So they're both wanting love but bumping heads. And so we heard that. My sister and I heard that. And my dad being upset with my mom retaliating. It was like, I didn't have a teenage life. I didn't have like have fun. I'm gonna go now, do it now, because maybe she was hurt and she's like, I'm gonna go party now. And my dad's like, oh, you broke my heart. I'm gonna be depressed and I don't want to talk to anybody. And so I'm like, what's happening here? And then the kids get it.
yeah. Another thing that okay, here's a scenario for you. Two people get married young, have children, and realize, oh shit, we are both fucked up. Like, we are. And now we have a family and a child together. What do we do now?
Take a therapist.
Okay. Assume there's no therapist, man. First thing you say, take a therapist. First of all, we both know how shitty and immature some therapists can be.
I didn't know you were gonna go there.
Well, we both know, and everybody here with a piece of paper that says therapist on it thinks they're a freaking therapist now. So a lot of bullshit therapists out there. Regardless, so assume there is no therapist. Okay.
Practice empathy.
Like how? Like, give an example related to that.
Listen
Two
to
young
understand.
people in their early 20s end up married and now I have a child, and they realize, okay, we're both still children, are hurt children and kids ourselves. What do we do now?
We read books.
What kind of books?
Self-help books.
Okay, books are accessible. But
Audios.
we both know that nobody freaking reads shit nowadays.
Okay, then audiobooks.
Okay.
Speaking to somebody who has a relationship that you not idolize but respect. How do you go talk to that person? Hey, I'm having some problems with my partnership in my home. We have a child now. Being vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable if you really want to become a better version of yourself. Being vulnerable is only going to help you get to achieve that higher person that you seek. You can't acknowledge vulnerability. How are you going to get closer to your person?
Why do you think comparing your relationship to other people's relationship is a toxic thing to do? Or comparing your partner to another person's partner?
I don't think it's toxic. I think it's healthy to have an idea of what it is that you want for yourself in a relationship. But it's also talking to that person about it. Like you and I had discussed, we both individually like to be that fit couple, which we are. I've always idolized and respected those couples that work out together, and on social media, I don't know them, but on social media they bond. I love that. And I think it's healthy to have that from not your ego perspective, but your loving, harmonious perspective of, I like that couple. I want to have that relationship, which we do. We have fun together. And it was having empathy in the back of my mind, not as I wish I had that, being so upset and comparing my partner. Like, how come you're not like that? No, it's how I share it with you. And I was like, oh, look at this couple. Like, it's kind of like you and I, you know? So speaking to each other, sorry.
Well, why do you think what you just said is a bad thing to do? For example, what you just said, why are you not like him? Why is that
Bad?
bad? Because women do that. I
Yeah.
mean, I've
Yeah.
had a friend of mine, female.
Mm-hmm.
She told me one time, "Oh, I wish my husband was like you," and I was like, "No, no, that first of all,
Mm-hmm.
even if you wish that, you don't ever tell another man, or
Mm-hmm.
if it's a woman, another woman, about your wife, like about your
Mm-hmm.
partner, like
Yeah,
that.
that's uncomfortable.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then you go and you tell your partner like that. I wish you were like him. That's a cause for an argument, for jealousy, for all kinds of shit. It's a recipe for disaster.
I think
You
that's.
can point out the traits.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you need to do is point out the traits.
What I would suggest to do is pointing out the positive traits in that person to your partner. Oh, I can see you as someone of that same quality. Maybe they're not, but if you plant that seed of positivity, of using the words you use, then they start like, oh, okay, I like that. Like if I like the videos that I've seen of guys dressing up a certain way, I'm like, babe, I can see you dressed like this. Because I want you to see that I see you that way.
Mm, okay, yeah, that's a good example.
So it's not what you say, it's how you
Just how you
say
say
it.
it. Yeah,
Instead of me saying, babe, why don't you dress like that? Because I could have if I was immature. But because I'm wise and I'm very selective of what I say and how I say it to you, again, I want to speak to the king in you. I want you to know that I love and respect you for who you are. I don't want you to be anybody but yourself. But if we're not agreeing on where we see each other, I want to let you know that I see you as this person dressing this way. Hey babe, what do you think about this outfit? What do you think about how he dresses? Can you see yourself dressing like that? Like, maybe. I never thought about it. Like, oh, well, look at this. Like, let's look through it more. And then we go from there. So it's planting the seed without me pushing so much on you trying to be somebody else.
okay, that's a good example.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like you don't ever want to tell anybody that somebody out there. Well, not anybody. You don't have when you compare a person to another person, that can hurt the person's feelings. But when
Right.
you compare characteristics, you can do it without pointing a finger at a person.
Right.
You say, well, certain habits or character traits that you have, I believe, will be better or make you a better person if you had these certain character traits.
Mm-hmm. It hurts your ego, but
Mm-hmm.
when you have control of your emotions, you're able to receive messages from other people a lot more calmer. Like if you were to tell me something about, oh, I wish you would dress this way, and if I can easily be offended by what you said, but I know that it takes very thick skin to understand how you say things because you don't have a filter. So I can easily be in my emotions and be offended by what you said to me. But I also understand, like, no, you're mature. He's not here to attack you. He's here because he wants you to be better and he sees you a certain way. So take it as constructive criticism because there's love and respect for each other.
When it comes to constructive criticism, here's the key, and this is how you mature and become a wiser person. Whenever you feel a strong feeling or an emotion like anger, sadness, irritation, it's better to pause and focus on understanding why you feel in this way. Just reflecting on why you feel in this way. Especially if you have that feeling often.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to reflect on is why you feeling a certain way. What is it that's being triggered inside of you? What is it that the other person said or maybe even did to you that makes you feel a certain way?
What is this trying to teach me?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to fix about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
That's the root of the problem. You eliminate that, you automatically take away a weapon from that person, from any other people, that tool to
Mm-hmm.
hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it to the next thing that triggers you, to the next thing that triggers you. And eventually, you kind of like take all these chinks in your armor and you fix it.
Mm-hmm.
You fix it. You're human. You
Mm-hmm.
do have those chinks in your armor, but what makes you a better human is when you heal yourself, when you fix those little chinks in the armor. You're always going to have
Mm-hmm.
some kind of kryptonite. You're always going to have chinks in your armor, but you can fix them as you go, and you can fix them as you grow and become a better person. We're
Mm-hmm.
all vulnerable. We're all human beings. We all get hurt. We all have emotions. But if you have the same emotion over and over again, you haven't healed.
Yeah, 100%. And I think when you start to see those emotions come up and you're able to control them, or you're able to master yourself, you're like, oh, I'm leveling up. This isn't bothering me anymore. What you said, I'm able to use it as constructive criticism, and it's almost like my way of seeing my old self. Like, oh, I remember I used to be triggered when somebody would call me, I don't know, a bitch. Now I'm like, oh, thanks. Because I put the emotions and the definition behind that word.
I've dated somebody who gets so triggered by a B word.
That's
I've did.
weird.
And me being the immature me at the time too, I would say stop acting like a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I would point out to the characteristics of a person who's acting like a bitch
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily call that person the B word. My point was like stop acting like one.
When
My
people,
ex would still take it like full on. You call me a bitch? I was like, no, I didn't. But you acting like
but
one.
see, that's the problem with women is they quickly turn on their emotions and respond with their emotions instead of listening to the context of what you're trying to relay. Like if you're acting like a bitch, all your that person or all she was focused on was that word, because there's such a negative definition behind it, because she feels insecure and it hurt her because she really probably thinks she's a bitch, or somebody told her that being a bitch is a bad thing.
Why is it that women get triggered when you call them the B word?
Because they're emotional.
Like, why is it that you used to be triggered when somebody would call you a B word?
Disrespect. I would, when somebody would call me a bitch, it would affect me. Like, who do you think you're calling? Like, you don't call me that. You can't offend me like that. Like, I put myself on this pedestal.
So, ego.
Yes, it's ego.
Okay.
Now I'm like, okay, they're just words. I don't even want to give so much energy to that. I'm sorry you feel that way. If I know I didn't do anything to you, I'm not gonna allow you to have control of how I feel. So if me being offended that you called me a bitch, that's just giving you the permission to bring me down.
Okay. Fair. Fair. I think that's fair. But ego is definitely the enemy. Because people are very soft on themselves, very empathetic on themselves, but they're
Nowadays, yeah.
super quick to judge others.
Right.
Like that video that I sent you where this female was talking about if people look at others more from a perspective of empathy
Yep.
rather than judgment,
Mm-hmm.
we will be able to understand the person and their behavior better. Because when somebody does something out of ordinary, that means most likely they're going through something in their life where they want to revolt, rebel, attract attention, make drastic changes in life.
Mm-hmm.
But we are quick to judge the shit out of people when they do that kind of stuff.
Very critical.
Very critical.
So self mastery is very important.
I think self mastery never stops, man. Never.
Yeah.
There's like levels to it.
The mastery of self and the mastery of love.
What are your two favorite books?
Can you understand why though?
No, I haven't finished them yet.
Well,
Oh, you're gonna say you done fucked up?
you done fucked up, Rod.
I like more of a hands-on experience. I do something and then yell at me. I'm just kidding. No yell. No, I do something and then we have a conversation. That's how I learn. It's faster than reading a book.
It
I
is,
memorize
but
better.
you would understand quicker, and you'll help me if you just understood it.
Okay.
So I share these books with you so you can understand where I'm at and where my thought process is, so that we're not arguing and we're not bickering. That's why when we
I
first
don't argue
met,
with you. You argue with me.
when we first met, we were talking about books, and I remember this. I was in the kitchen, and
My kitchen?
no, I was at we weren't living together yet.
Uh-huh.
And you asked me what kind of books I like to read, and I told you, oh, The Mastery of Love. You're like, is it a girly book? No, it's not girly.
Mastery of love.
It's about learning how to love yourself, because when you learn how to love yourself, you're not dependent on somebody else's love. So if I knew that you didn't love yourself, it's going to require more work for me, and I didn't want to do that. I shouldn't have to always shower with you with love. Whatever I give you is extra, because you already have the love for yourself. And there's a lot of girls out there, there's a lot of guys out there that don't know what love is. They don't know how to love themselves. They need somebody else to love them in order to feel they're validated. And that's a lot of work.
They place their happiness into somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big, big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever place your happiness into another person.
And that's why a lot of relationships fail, because I can't wait to be happy in a relationship. No, you need to be happy first and foremost, because you'll get people and you think you're happy with them, but you're really not.
Especially in the beginning, especially in the lovey-dovey, what do they call that stage?
Honeymoon stage?
Honeymoon stage.
Mm-hmm.
Before you start seeing the real person.
Mm-hmm.
Before put the toilet seat down, put your shoes away.
I still feel like we're in the honeymoon stage.
Well, that's because we continuously, with effort and intention, put in the work.
Well, that's what a relationship is.
There you go.
A relationship is work. It's not, we're going to get together and then everything else.
Fuck
just
that. That
smooth.
shit does not work.
There's no
that
way.
ship does not sail smoothly.
Each individual needs to continue to work on themselves separately and together. But if you didn't do the self-mastery, this wouldn't work. If I wouldn't do it, this wouldn't work. Because then you're going to start mastering yourself and who you are. And then if I didn't, I'm down here. Not saying that I'm lower than you, but it's the opposite. If I was trying to master who I am and my not so good qualities, we won't be matching on the same frequency.
Question.
Answer.
Do you think women, for the most part, pick men who are better than themselves? For example, like intellectually, like smarter than them, more successful, more financially successful, obviously stronger, faster, more agile because of the anatomy and physiology, but overall better than them.
It depends on which level of woman you're asking.
Okay. For example, do you think women pick men based on the fact that these men are more successful than them in life at the current point of their life?
Depends on which woman. Like if you were to
my God.
Well, let me get to my point. There are women who want their men to be more feminine. Like there's women out there who don't want men who are better than them.
Okay, those women lost and confused.
Right. So
in general, feminine women.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Feminine women definitely want a man who can protect and provide and give them a lifestyle, right? That's easier. But what women fail to do is they don't understand that that's work. You can't just expect a man to be whining and dining you and protecting you, and you just sit there with your feet up.
The reason why I didn't want to say specifically feminine women, even though it crossed my mind, is because even women who are not feminine or in their feminine, they still go after men who are confident, stronger, better, protector, providers than they are.
Mm-hmm.
They will go and talk smack about other men and say how they have the same rights, responsibilities, they're equal to men, but they deep down on a subconscious level will still pick men like that to spend the rest of their life with. That's the men they want.
Right.
It's just the problem is now the men they want don't want them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't want to say feminine. That's what I said, mostly, for the most part, in general.
Well, those women haven't gotten to that level of it's an exchange. So if they want something, they also have to be willing to give. They have to be
Correct.
submissive.
Correct.
So yes, they can want it, but it doesn't. That relationship's gonna fail if they're unable to reciprocate that same energy of what a man wants.
Although your point is correct, you're digressing.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is women are not equal to men.
No.
And they choose men who are superior in life than them because they want to do what? Like, you allow yourself to be in la la land when you're with me. You said that yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
a few times where you've done something and I was like, okay, babe, you need to be a little more conscious or a little bit more aware of your surroundings in these scenarios. You told me yourself, well, I'm with you, babe. I let my guard down. I'm in my la la land, which is fine, which is what your natural state should be. You shouldn't have to look after yourself. That's my job,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I'm with you, is to protect and to be aware of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Although you should be too. But the women think they want to fall back into that feminine la la land state and relinquish all the responsibilities of being there, being in that state.
Then that just means they're
But they
uneducated.
want the same treatment and the same rights and equalities. It's not. It doesn't
No,
happen.
it
It doesn't
work
work
that
this
way.
way.
The sun can't be the moon.
And the moon can't be the
Nope.
sun. So here, that's all I'm trying to say is that
Mhm.
women need to understand. Like, nowadays,
Know your role. That's it.
know
Just
your
know
role.
your
Yeah.
role.
But nowadays, for the most part, men know their role. Because if man is confused and he doesn't know his role and he thinks he's the shit, some other man is gonna come along, punch him in the face, knock his teeth out, and teach
He's
him a
gonna
lesson.
learn the hard way.
He's gonna learn the hard way.
He's a fuck around,
But
find
women,
out.
yeah, fat foe,
Yeah,
fuck around and find
women,
out.
they can't.
Women don't learn, so they want the responsibilities of a child. Okay, now all the benefits of a woman, but the same rights as men. You can't be that way.
They're delusional.
You're delusional. And I'm gonna go further and say that nowadays a lot of men out there are becoming like that too. With the absence of proper male role models and being raised by women that I described earlier, they think this is what it's like to be a man. No, it's not. It's not. Nobody gives a fuck about your feelings when you're a man. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Women, children, and elderly and animals are the only ones who receive empathy and sympathy from people. Men don't.
Well, I think that's where it needs to stop. Like this is why we're doing what we're doing. Like, it needs to stop. Women need to stop bringing down their men.
Yes.
Like, there's no more, oh, well, he can't cry, he can't show his emotions. No, he needs to show his emotions to you because you are a feminine. How else are you going to work your feminine with your partner? That's why you are his. He has to feel comfortable to go back out into the world. He has to fall into you to nurture him. Back in the day in wars, men would go out to war and then come back and write poems for their women or sing to them, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
Because the women like that. They love when their man is like, oh man, like, you're out there
Killing each other.
but yet you're romantic. You're romantic with me. And it makes women feel like, oh, he loves me. Like he's pouring out his divine feelings for me. But women are too much in their masculine, and they're like, oh, no, he can't cry. Okay, well then, who says that you can cry to him?
See, we come from a generation where it was men who told other men or young boys not to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't cry. Men don't cry.
Right.
Is that healthy? No, it's not healthy. But we had men tell us not to cry. Nowadays, you have these young boys growing up who don't have men in their lives. And then their mothers tell them that. The only person who they actually can come to and talk and receive this love and emotion tell not to cry. So now they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do with it. At least we had a father who tells don't cry, and we'll go to a mother. Mother, okay, cool. You need to understand that, you know, I'll pour this love onto you, and then you also need to understand that as a man, you have these roles and responsibilities. And although your dad might be a little rough on you on the around the edges, it's part of becoming a man. Now there's no male figure, and the female figure is like, nah. All you need to care about is how to treat other women, but they don't teach them what to expect, what kind of treatment expect from other women. And then you have these same or similar single moms who treat their daughters only what to expect from men and only how to be treated by men,
Mm-hmm.
but not how to treat a man,
Well,
what to
hopefully,
give to a man.
with new platforms, there's women out there who have healed and are able to teach their sons and daughters how to receive and how to be respected.
It takes two, not just a woman cannot teach a son those things. It's even hard for a daughter. We already talked about that. Let's face it, men heal better than women do. For two reasons. Number one is because men have other men in their lives who are not afraid to call them out on their bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
We have that. We have that. We call each other out on their bullshit for the most part. We're not afraid to hurt each other's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Men do that to each other. And also, reason why men, I believe, heal better than women do is they have higher levels of emotional maturity.
Not all men, though.
Not all men, but the ones that heal have higher levels of emotional maturity than women do. Now, let me explain this to you. Although majority men commit suicide, although that is true, like 75% of men, 75% of suicides are committed by men. Okay? That 25%, if you take that, you compare it to a 25 percentile of women, men are more effective at healing because they have other men to call them out and
Yeah, they're
help
more
them out,
logical.
genuinely help them out, help a
Mm-hmm.
brother out. That thing exists. Like, help a
Yeah.
brother out.
Yeah, I agree.
And because we call each other out on our bullshit, we're able to, like, absorb it
Mm-hmm.
and look at ourselves from a perspective like, yeah, you know, I'm fucking up. I got to get my shit together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm either going to smoke myself, unfortunately, or I got to
Or I'm
fix
gonna do some
myself.
dumb shit.
Women just kind of a lot of women stay in that limbo like, I'm emotionally mature because I talk to my girlfriends. No, that's called fucking venting. That's called venting. You run to your girlfriend to talk about your problems and your man and your family and your kids and blah blah blah. That's not emotional maturity. That's just you venting, talking shit about your own family and your own men. No, emotional maturity is if you keep this shit at home, you talk to your man, you sit them down and you talk to him about what bothers you, and hopefully he does the same. So both have issues. Both have issues, and both can be really toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Women need to reflect on their emotions and have healthier conversations with one another.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
part of why Kalana and I started the Unfiltered podcast, because we know that that's what we wanted and what we needed. Like, I'm able to call her on our shit. Like, we were just having the conversation. I said, listen, I'm going to be straight up with you. If I can't communicate to you how I feel about our friendship, then I can't be your friend. I'm just that person. I need to tell you how I feel, because I will feel fake if I don't tell you to your face.
Yeah.
If
No.
you can't tell me that I'm doing something wrong and I get upset about it, that's my problem. It's not your problem. You have every right to tell me how you feel about me if I'm doing something wrong. If I want to be in your life, there's certain standards that I have to admit to, just like her. If she's not carrying her weight, I told her, there's nothing wrong with it. I still respect you, but I just don't have the time to kind of dwindle. Are we doing this? Or are we not doing this? She's like, no, you're right. Like, I'm so glad that you're able to communicate this to me. I said, I'm glad that you're not emotional. I'm glad that you're healthy and you know that I'm coming to you with love and light because I want more for you. I want you to see that you have something in you. You just need guidance, but I can't push you anymore. You have to tell yourself, you know what, I'm doing this and I'm going after it. I wish I had somebody to tell me that. So I'm doing that for you and I need you to do that for me. If you can't, that's okay. I just have a specific quality of friend that I want in my life. Because I've done the whole fake ass people and they'll talk behind my back and they won't tell me to my face. That's unhealthy. I want to grow. And when women are able to understand that when somebody talks to you, they're not attacking you. They're giving you constructive criticism to help you see yourself from a higher image. And I love to talk to women about that if they can't see it. In those groups that I'm in, I'll talk to them. Like, I can easily switch my perspective and be petty, but I'm not. So I don't give that thought or that ego so much attention when I respond. I respond from my divine state, like love and light. How would I want somebody to talk to me without them feeling like I'm attacking them? So I have to, okay, if I wanted to give some advice and I want to learn from them, what do I need to say? So I got to check myself, make sure that my emotions are aligned, where I'm not in a defense mood, and I'm also not in my ego. Oh, you got to do this. It's because you're a dumb bitch. No, I'm not going to say that. It's like, okay, maybe.
You are a dumb bitch.
Shut up. Maybe you need to love on yourself a little bit more. And that's why you're feeling insecure because this guy isn't responding to you. You know, as an example.
Yeah.
And women don't know how to do that because they're so quick on the defense side.
Very true. Very true.
Reading helps, being around other people, having those uncomfortable conversations with your girls, but with your girl, not with the other friend who's friends with that same girl.
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up with a lot.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And it doesn't, the relationship will start to fade and then you start hating each other and then there's this talking back and forth and then there's no friendship. Like, I have a friend who I just came across her page the other day, an old friend, and I missed her. And I still don't know why we didn't talk. And it kind of, and I wasn't trying to live too much in my past life, but I'm like, man, I wish, and I tried to, I even reached out to her years before, and I'm like, hey, is there anything, like, can we talk? I'm sorry. She didn't even respond to me. She left me on red. So I have to, at that point, I have to just say, hey, this is God's way of telling me that was a chapter, you learned from it, move forward, move on. There's other people, which there are other people that have came into my life, and now I just have to appreciate those friends that are that way with me. I send that other friend love and light. Hey, you know what, I miss you, I hope you're all well, and I just carry on.
Very well. That's called growth.
Yes, it's called maturing.
Yeah. And being able to cut out people from your life.
Well, I don't
with
cut
love
them
and
out.
light.
But that's the thing. When you realize you don't cut people out, you just start growing in a way that they just fall off.
Some of them fall off. Yeah, they fall off. Yeah, that
And that's the
too.
beauty.
That happens too.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a blessing sometimes. It's like sometimes you don't know, like, oh man, this person is like really draining my energy, and you think about the ways of how to properly tell them, but you having a hard time because you love them, and then something happens and they kind of fall off. Like, oh, this.
Like, if I had those friends that came back and wanted to talk to me, I would maturely say, okay, we can talk and hear their point of view. I'd like to be able to rekindle it from a healthy stance of, okay, well, I'd love to hear why you just took off on me. Because, again, people mature at different times in their life. And maybe they finally understood, you know what, that wasn't right of me to just ghost you. I want to apologize. All right, cool. Thank you. I appreciate you. Maybe it might not be the same friendship. I tried that twice with two girls. And when we tried to rekindle the first time, I just couldn't because I was so in my ego. I was like, no, screw you. You effed with me. Like, no, I'm good. There was another friendship that she was like, I can't be your friend because I haven't forgave myself. I said, well, then that's your problem. I forgave you for what you did, but we can't establish a healthy bound of friendship if you can't accept your own apology. I still love you. I have love for you. We can still be that close. But if you feel like we can't, then it's not going to work. I'm intentional with my friendship. And I'm still friends with her. We don't talk all the time like we used to. But she's a mom. She has her own kids, her own life. But I'm not going to hate somebody because of the shit that they were going through back then.
Mm-hmm.
We all evolve at different times.
Yeah.
And when you have empathy towards somebody, you understand, hey, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate it. It gives you character when you can sit and apologize for what you did, knowing, hey, you know what? You're a good person. You wanted to come back and talk to me and be vulnerable. I appreciate that. I have respect for you. But a lot of people don't want to own up to the fact that, hey, I fucked up. They're just like, oh no, I'm going to ghost you. Peace out. I don't need to explain anything to you.
Deep. Yeah. Well, there you go. There you guys have it. Wisdom from Coley right there. Nice. I
It's
think.
life experiences.
Yeah. Well, what do they say? I think wisdom is a gem, the best thing you can ever develop, but it charges a lot. It charges with experience, and experience is time. And you can't become wise unless you put in the work, you put in the time. So you have to do the work. You have to pay your dues. You have to put in the time.
You have
You
to
have
show
to learn
yourself
your lessons.
empathy.
That too. You have to show yourself empathy as well.
Intentional empathy, knowing this happened for me. Okay, what did I learn from this? How can this change me to become a much more loving person in God's eyes? You know, God, they say God creates you in his eyes, right? Which is loving, divine. So be that person. Be that person for yourself so that you can see people with that same feeling because you mirror what's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling negative, you're feeling jealous inside, that's what you're going to give off and that's how you're going to see people.
We perceive other people from the same lens that we perceive ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, very well. Very well. I think those are all the questions we went over. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. There's some value that we provided for you when it comes to relationships. What we try to do here is we try to talk about the things that we do in our relationship. And I say this over and over again. We're not reinventing the wheel. We literally talk about what we do in our relationship that makes our relationship work, that keeps it entertaining, keeps it loving, keeps us happy,
Keeps us getting bonding
ge-
together,
and
understanding,
make us better people for each other and for ourselves.
getting to know one another.
Exactly. And it's
Mhm.
relationship is not easy. It's constant work, but when you put in the work, when you are intentional, like you love to say, it is worth it. It is worth it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, and if you took some gems from it, please click like, share, and subscribe, and share this with your friends or whoever you believe can benefit from this episode.
Yes.
What you got for them, babe? That's it.
Yeah, that's
Till
it.
next time.
Till next time. Don't forget if you have any questions, if there's any topics that you want us to tap into, send us a message, send you a message.
Yep. And we'll answer your questions.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, see you next time. Peace out.
Bye.